Okay, so Planet Rangers is another year here at the kitchen. Thanks for coming. We love having you guys here at the kitchen. We thought with what's going on, we do something a little different this year than in the past. We're going to do meatballs, pasta and meatballs. So we serve it here at the restaurant. It's a very famous recipe that I've used since I was a kid. I'm going to show you that today. You can always get it here. It's probably a little bit better than you'll make it at home, but I think we'll do a good job at home too. So, we're going to start with ground pork. Okay, so this is ground pork in here. Then we're going to add our, and you'll get the recipes obviously. So here's our dried herbs, which is sage, thyme, and oregano. Okay, we're going to dump that right in. Salt and pepper, we're going to dump that right in. Parmesan, we're going to dump that right in. Parsley, fresh parsley. Minced garlic. Gluten-free breadcrumbs. We use gluten-free here. If you don't want to use gluten-free at home, use whatever you like, but we do everything gluten-free here. Dump those in. And then our eggs. You want to use about 2 eggs per total pound of product that you use. So in this, we probably have about 4 total pounds of product, so we're going to use 4 eggs. Okay, so we're going to mix all that together now. Your best ingredients to mix with are your hands. So get right in there with your hands. If you have gloves, feel free to wear them. If not, just wash your hands when you're done. We're going to mix this all up, get it just really incorporated, get everything blended together.
And why do you use ground pork, Matt?
Well, I use ground pork because I think it stays moist much longer than ground beef. It has more flavor, more fat content. But you can use, this recipe can be used with ground pork, ground beef, turkey, lamb, whatever you like to use at home. Okay, and then we're going to scoop it. We use a little 2.5 ounce meatball scoop here at the restaurant. At home, if you like, feel free to just make it with your hands like this. And just go like that. But I'm going to do it with the scooper because it's a little bit faster for me. You don't want them touching, so that way the air in the oven can get to all sides of the meatball.
Did you learn this from your
This was a recipe
family,
that I learned from my father, but he didn't use pork. He used beef. When I opened the restaurant, when we went to the pork, because I felt that it has much more, stays moist a lot longer. So we'll pop these in the oven. You want to set your oven about 375. These usually take, depending on the size, but if you go about this size, which is about golf ball size, a little bit larger, it'll take about 22 minutes.
Matt, when you had all the ingredients out for the meatballs, I noticed you had them all separated in advance.
I did.
Like if I was cooking something, I would tend to go one at a time and throw it in the pot. Can you tell me?
Well, we call that in the industry, it's called mise en place, which just means all of your ingredients together. Now, when we do that here, we don't typically sort them out individually. We'll just go and grab them as you would at home too. The reason that I did that was really to show everything at once. Because I always recommend when you do a recipe the first time to get everything together first and then mix it, as opposed to, because you might forget one thing and then that one thing will change the recipe completely. So always just take everything out together, take a look at it, mix it, and then from there, after that, go on and start your own way of doing things.
It creates a few more dishes maybe, but...
Maybe a few more dishes, but at the end, it's worth the extra elbow grease. So, while the meatballs cook, we're going to start our marinara sauce. Excuse me, this is Just a very traditional marinara sauce, super easy. You can make this, freeze it, pull it out throughout the winter. You can make pizza with it. Very versatile. So we're going to start with olive oil. I would suggest not using pure olive oil. Use a blended olive oil for this because the temperature gets so high that you're going to want pure olive oil to scorch and smoke on. And we've got a small sliced Spanish onion, minced garlic, salt and pepper.
Do you cry when you cut the onions, Matt, or?
No.
No.
Sometimes.
You're
Depends on the time of year.
Okay.
Then we have our dried herbs. So we've got thyme, oregano, sage, and in here is some red pepper flake. You don't have to add the red pepper flake. We do. The little bit of heat just really adds a lot of flavor more than spice. So that's why we put that in. And I always put it in like this first, and then we'll saute this just so the onions start to, what we say, sweat, which means they start to get a little translucent. So what we're doing right now is we're just chopping up some basil. It's a good time of year. You probably have some in your garden. It's really available. You don't want to go too chopped. You just want to rough it up a little bit. I like to add some stems in there because I think the stems add a lot of flavor. So once we get to this is what you really want it to look like. Okay. Now we're going to add in our crushed tomatoes. You can use any crushed tomatoes you like, whether it's organic, local or not, but just use crushed. And you want to use about half a can of whatever tomatoes you use of water. Pour that in. Okay, and then we're going to stir it. And this needs to cook for about 40 to 50 minutes on a low heat. Okay. This is coming out of the oven after 22 minutes. That's what you're going to get as a final product.